had made a historic ruling on the fact of procedural due process that allows fitness centers and studios the remedy to open up safely and be part of the greater economic good for Arizona. This is part of the struggle that we've been having for the last 90 days as we've been asked to close down in the first shutdown, allowed to reopen, and then forced to close down again, and then now hopefully finally opening up a third time for good. I never believed that we would start out to end here, back on March 18th. I know about 2 weeks after we were asked to close, I had a long conversation with my 22-year-old son regarding our civil rights and the abilities of our government to force businesses to close. It was an interesting conversation because we want to make sure that we respect the powers of the governor in these really unprecedented times. The severity of this pandemic is not lost in today's decision. It's only made to go forward and strengthened in all of our industry's ability to continue everybody's physical health and certainly mental health in the way of physical fitness. We just wanted to make sure that, like all businesses, fitness industry was allowed to stay open if we all agreed to a remedy, or in this case protocols, that we would follow to stay open. And I think this ruling today said exactly that. It said the procedural due process was not followed and needed to be. And in this case, the draft attestation that's up there on the website needs to get finalized within a week so that all fitness centers can be open. The ability for all businesses to be closed for this amount of time is not something that we're prepared to do in this country. It's not sustainable for all of our employees, certainly as an industry. We watched as multiple fitness chains have not been able to reopen, and in this time, over 100,000 employees have not been able to work. We want to be able to open safely. We feel like this ruling allows us to do that and go forward together as a society and beat this virus together, once and for all together. With that, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to thank some people for all their hard work, starting with this gentleman right next to me, Joel Sanis. Unbelievable job, Joel, in sticking with me, sometimes babysitting me through this from the beginning. And his law firm, Udall Shumway, were incredible in doing that, and their support, their determination to stay focused on the task at hand. I would like to thank the incredible support of the Mountainside Fitness employee family. You guys are unbelievable, sticking with us through all this, never wavering when we stayed open, when we were forced to close. The support and the energy you put forth to all of our members has been incredible, to say the least. And lastly, all the Mountainside members, the 100,000 plus strong, who've showed their loyalty, not only when we've been open, but certainly during the times that we've been closed. It's been awe-inspiring, to say the least, to see the business community rally behind our efforts, not only for fitness, but for all businesses, has been truly incredible. And I just want to make sure I wasn't short on thanking everybody for this incredible support. To our governor, we are with you. We are here with you to move forward in this pandemic. We want to be part of the solution together, not only for fitness, but for all businesses. We share your struggle, your worry, your fears. We want to unite to that. And we look forward to doing that beginning this Tuesday. Now, if you have any questions for myself or Joel, I'd be happy to answer them at this time. Yes, ma'am.
So, I know you guys are planning to open on August 11th.
Yes.
And from what I understand from the ruling, it says that you can apply to reopen. So, what happens if the health department comes back and says you cannot reopen, do you still plan to reopen on August 11th despite that?
Well, I think there's some legalities in there, is certainly, in that what we see up there right now is an attestation of protocols that we've worked hard twice with the governor's office to make sure that are available for us to sign. If you look further into the ruling, it says that those have to be made to be final before next Tuesday so that we can sign them and be allowed to open. That is a must. And it goes clearly into his ruling on procedural due process that that has to happen. I'm doing my best to do a Joel impression here. So if you have any other questions, I'm going to let Joel answer that so I don't mess them up.
You even mentioned this before we even started. This is the first time you're wearing a mask during one of these press conferences. Why is that? And what will change now, according to the ruling? Will you require everybody to wear a mask inside the gym? Or how will things change inside the gym compared to when it was before it was shut down?
Well, I finally found a mask that could fit where I can talk, so that was one thing. And then the rules have changed along the way, as we all remember. You know, so many different things have changed over the last 90 days, including the last 3 weeks from the last press conference. So, yes, today I'm wearing a mask. We'll continue to do that as we all are. As you will see inside the health clubs, the protocols that we had been following in Mountainside were pretty strict alone. However, you're going to see masks required for all common areas and strength floors. We're going to practice social distancing as we had been before. You'll see more locational devices on the floor to make sure that's clear for all members. And then we're going to work through the protocols that are in place to continue forward to allow all members to work out safely. Any other questions?
What does this ruling, does this do anything with any of the previous citations you had for staying open? Does any of this kind of affect that?
I'm not sure. Maybe I'll let Joel answer that question. You want to answer that question? I'm not really sure on that one.
With regard to the citations, Mountainside is still in negotiation with law enforcement authorities to help to resolve those citations. I don't think that today's decision can reach back to the time when the citations were issued so that they're automatically invalid. But I do think it gives a good basis for negotiation with law enforcement to resolve those citations.
Tom, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you say to the people who say, hey, look, there are a lot of young, healthy, fit people who are going to these gyms. It is a place where people are breathing and sweating, and people are concerned that that could be a super spreader in terms of people being in an indoor space like this.
Right.
What do you say to those people who think that this may not be a good idea?
Well, that's exactly what we spent our energy proving in court, is that it is a safe environment, and following these protocols relay that, enforce that, so to speak. And that was really important because there wasn't any data coming out that said that any of the spread in the virus was from health clubs in the first place. And there still isn't to this day. What we came back and said is, if we follow protocols, which, by the way, no other industry has been asked to do. No protocols are in place for other industries, just fitness. And if we follow those protocols, we have been approved to be safe to open. We brought in several expert witnesses to prove that, and that's what the judge said. And I think you'll see that as we operate, and what we had been doing as we operated. And we have to think about that in all walks of businesses right now, whether it's a restaurant or anything else that we're doing out there in the public.
Can you explain from the business owner perspective the biggest frustration that this process has been for you? Because I know you've been emotional and outspoken at a lot of these press conferences.
You bet.
It's obviously something that's probably taken a toll on you and your employees. So can you kind of just explain it from your perspective, what that's been like?
Sure, it's been a nightmare, to be honest with you. I spent 30 years building Mountainside up. I started when I was 22, the same age as my son, and to feel like it's all coming crashing down in 90 days is a pretty hard pill to swallow, no matter what the reason. If you add the reasons without data, it was a bigger pill to swallow. If you add being forced to close and everybody doing that for the greater good, and all the things that we did as a company for the general public, whether it was donating $100,000, whether it was being an antibody testing site, donating wipes, and being called not a good citizen because we wanted to stay open so we could survive, was frustrating. For 30 years, we've been a good citizen in this state, a business citizen, and providing a place for people to get healthy and be mentally strong. So to go through that as an entrepreneur here in Arizona, certainly the United States, it's the American dream. And to watch that seemingly come crashing down, and quite possibly could have, was beyond scary at this point. So yeah, and not only just for myself, but all the people around Mountainside, certainly the employees, to watch their careers possibly end. That was a hard thing to shoulder for the last 90 days. And to be closed, told you reopen, closed again, told you could be reopened on the 27th, told no at the 11th hour. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I hope this ruling is there for everybody's sake, to understand that we don't need to go through this as a business community. No business needs to go through this. We can move forward through this virus together, period. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate you showing up. Yeah, I just want to go. Okay. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, this time, that's okay.